About 2 years ago, I got this Sony Dash. Now I want to take a look back and see if this advanced alarm clock was really worth the money. So here you can see my Sony Dash sitting right next to my bed, and from the front with its big touchscreen interface, it looks kind of like a tablet. When you turn to the side though, that's just when it stops looking like that tablet. This device does not have a battery, so don't plan on bringing it anywhere with you, and if that isn't bad enough, you have to have this gigantic power brick hanging off your wall outlet. From the side, there is this sort of hidden door that you can see. Underneath this, we have an audio out / headphone jack, as well as a USB port. This USB port can be used for photos and audio files, and that is just about it. Now let's look at the user interface, which is surprisingly customizable. Right now I have it in the nighttime mode, which is for when you're sleeping. It has a large clock, and the display brightness is greatly dimmed. To wake the device up, you just tap anywhere on the screen. Here you're taken to the home screen of sorts. You have many themes to choose from for this main home screen, and depending on how you plan to use the Dash, you can choose a different theme. In most of these themes, you have a sort of window that just scrolls through what Sony calls apps. You can customize these online, which is convenient for when you're first setting this up and adding all kinds of apps, but the dependency on setting this up from a computer is really inconvenient when you just want to add a new app real quick. When we jump into the menu, you see we have a basic web browser, and when diving in further, you see we have YouTube, Netflix, Pandora, and several other services. This assortment of services is nice, but unfortunately sometimes the streaming fails, and even if it doesn't, the interface is a bit clunky and isn't quite as finished as modern tablets. So this brings me on to what this device really gets used for. For me, it is nothing more than an alarm clock. Now, given it is quite a fancy alarm clock, and I have the ability to set a different alarm for different times on different days, and it even lets you make a selection of the alarm tone. There is some odd options for internet radio for your alarm, but there is no Pandora support for this function, and there is also no FM radio. So overall, this device had potential to be such a great alarm clock device, but it seems that it just isn't quite meeting up to my expectations. Being so dependent on having a computer nearby and having an unreliable user interface, this device ended up just being a fancy alarm clock. Now given, it does do the alarm clock function quite reliably, but I'm not quite sure it is worth the price. Well, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and this has been a look back at the Sony Dash 2 years later.